Hey guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Pauline. I'm a 25-year-old millennial. I just turned 25, so in honor of my birthday, I thought I would do a little self-reflection and talk about 25 things I've learned by age 25. These are not in any particular order, and these are just some main things that I've learned throughout the years. I feel like by 25, I've really grown a lot. I've done a lot of inner work. I pretty much know who I am. Of course, you're always evolving, always changing, always growing. So that type of work never really stops. The first one is you are not going to please everyone, but that is okay. So there's this quote that I heard a really long time ago and it stuck with me, and it was, you can be the sweetest peach out there, but there's still gonna be someone who just doesn't like peaches. And that is very true. So you don't have to feel the need to please everyone, get everyone to like you, because that is not your job. It's important to just be your true self, and those that align with your views, with your values, your morals, all of that will surround themselves by you, and those that don't just won't, and that's okay. Not everyone is going to like you, and that can be without reason. And that is just something that I've personally just had to accept, and I've accepted it, and it's more of a it is what it is at this point. Second thing I've learned is sometimes things don't go as planned, and that's also okay, because what you have planned for you might not actually be what's best for you, and there actually might be something better in store. But since we have expectations, and if we plan something a certain way and it doesn't go the exact way that we want it to, because of those expectations, we are now disappointed. But had we not had those expectations in the first place, we might be pleasantly surprised. So although planning is good and it's good to plan, it's also important to note sometimes things don't go as planned, but be positive, because there might be something better in store for you. It just might take a little bit of patience. The third thing I've learned is you don't need a lot of friends. So I very much preach quality over quantity, especially in adulthood. So friendships aren't like how they are in adulthood, like they are in like high school or like school friends. Sometimes when you look back, you think were you really friends with them? Did you truly have things in common? Were you guys truly friends, or was it just you would see them all day every day, you would go to practice with them all the time, have class with them, go to the same parties? So when you think about it like that, you often realize like, wow, are they just circumstantial friends? Also, as an adult, friends, they don't really have an age. You can be friends with someone 30 years older than you can be friends with someone 2 years younger than you. It doesn't really matter, and you can be friends with anyone. And also, it's important to note, when you're an adult, you don't have to constantly be in the group chat liking things, sending memes of that sort to qualify as friends. I can see someone twice a year and just instantly pick where we left off and just be as close as we used to be. And I think it's important to accept and understand that friendships can look a little different, and they don't always look like what they used to look like in high school and in college. The fourth thing I've learned, this is a big one, is you can't control everything. So it's important to just go with the flow sometimes. I feel like this was a big one for me, because I have this notion that, okay, this is happening, maybe I can do this, or maybe I'm not doing enough, or if I did this, this wouldn't have happened. And it's like, most of the time, most things are out of your control, and you can just control the things that you can control, and past that, you just have to wait, you just have to do your best, and just go with the flow. It's okay, you do not need to control everything. Some things are just uncontrollable. You can just control yourself, you can't control other people, and you can just do the best that you can. And sometimes just relax and just go with the flow, and it'll all work out. Okay, the fifth lesson, what you think is good for you may not actually be what's best for you. And that goes for anything. That can be relationships, friendships, universities, like locations you want to live in, job offers. I feel like I really learned this in college, and I can elaborate more on another video. And if you want me to, just comment down below and let me know. But sometimes what you think is the best in that moment may not actually be the best. So there might be something better, but you're just unable to see it because you're viewing it through the lenses that you have now. But maybe 2 years down the line, that person may not actually be the one for you, but in that moment, they're the one. Or that school that you've been wanting to go to and you're disappointed you didn't get in, and you go for your safety school, or the other school that you weren't that thrilled about ends up actually presenting an opportunity for you that the initial school that you were really excited to go to may have not given you that opportunity. So it's always good to have that kind of mindset, like, okay, this, I didn't get what I wanted now, but maybe it's because this wasn't going to give me what I wanted in the future. This is a big one. Number 6 is just respecting yourself. I think it's important for all of us to respect ourselves, especially females, because if you yourself don't respect yourself, how can you expect others to respect you? So you kind of set the standard and the tone. So if you are treating yourself with respect, and people will see that and in turn respect you. Now, I'm sure there's people who don't do that and you still respect yourself and they don't respect you. And at that point, those types of people I try to not be around too much. Number 7. So, setting healthy boundaries in your life. I've noticed growing up, this is something that a lot of people struggle with. I personally feel like I got really good at this in the past maybe like 3 years, or 3 to 4 years. And most of these things I've gotten really good at in the past 3 years, I would say. That is when, like after college, is when I put in the work to do the inner work, figure out who I am, and just who I want to be, and just, hone in on all of that. But setting boundaries is very important, especially in your adulthood, and it doesn't matter with who. It could be with coworkers, it could be with your family, your friends, your boss. Setting those boundaries, like healthy boundaries, allows you to not feel like you're being used. And sometimes when you don't have those boundaries, you feel like people are taking advantage of you, but it's only because you've allowed them to. So if you put your foot down and say, okay, no, I will not be doing this, or this is as much I will do, I'm not available on Tuesdays, please don't text me after 6 p.m. That's my relaxation time. So if you're vocal and you communicate and you set your boundaries, that sets you up for more success and allows you to not feel like you're being used. Okay, this is another big one. Trying to see things from other people's point of view, especially in times of arguments, conflict, disagreements. So I believe that sometimes, myself included, we tend to just see things from our point of view, how we feel, how we felt in that moment. But sometimes you need to put on the goggles of someone else or the opposing person to really understand where they're coming from, or what experiences or traumas they've had that have shaped them into who they are, and it kind of shows us why they're acting like that. Okay, the 9th one is stay curious and question everything. So throughout my life, I've always been very curious, and I've always kind of been like, oh, I have a question. Oh, question this, question that. And I think that's really allowed me to have a lot of clarity on situations and a lot of understanding, and it's allowed me to build knowledge. So it's always important to stay curious and to not be afraid of asking questions. I know this is a big one, especially in school, because a lot of people will feel embarrassed to kind of ask a question because they feel, oh, it's a stupid question. But there's no such thing as a stupid question, and chances are 99% of the people sitting there with you have that same question, but they're just too embarrassed or afraid or ego to ask the question. Okay, number 10. So this one is listen to your gut, listen to your intuition, do not lie to yourself. So oftentimes we are in situations or where we're around people and we think we are a certain way, but in reality we're not, and we know that, but we just think we need to fit in or act like the way we need to just because. So for example, if you're someone who just doesn't like partying, right? You know, they just don't like partying. They just would prefer to go to a coffee shop, go hiking, and you just don't like that whole partying lifestyle. So if you know that, but because you think that that's the cool thing to do, especially in your 20s, like, no, it's not. Don't lie to yourself. Don't feel like you need to fit in just because that's just the norm or the common thing, because chances are there's a lot more people out there like you than you think. Number 11, be your true, real, honest self. Within this past year, I've really begun to do this. Like, I am now doing that. I am my real self, and this is who I am, and I'm not going to change myself or alter how I feel or believe to just accommodate others' insecurities or try to be like them. Like, no, I'm myself, I have my views, and I'm not going to sugarcoat it. And I think sometimes people, whether it's in relationships or friendships or you really want someone to like you, I think sometimes I see girls doing this where in the beginning of a relationship with a guy, they kind of, I would say they kind of just don't present their true selves because they're like, oh, what if he doesn't like this? I don't want to scare him off, all that. But it's like, no, be your true honest self, because in the long run that is going to help you out tremendously, because if you lie, that's gonna catch up with you later on, and then you're gonna feel like you're being a fake persona this whole time, and eventually that's gonna be exhausting. And then once you start becoming your true honest self, that person is gonna be like, oh, why are you all of a sudden like this, and this, and this, and it's like you're being fake or whatever. And it's like, you kind of did that to yourself, because if you were just honest from the get-go, they would have known that that's who you are. But when you act like a different person out of fear, insecurity, whatever it might be, then you kind of set yourself up for problems or issues, or just burning yourself out later, because you can only continue to have this persona for so long. At the end of the day, you're gonna want to default back to your true self, and it's exhausting trying to be something you're not or someone you're not. Okay, the 12th thing is it's okay to say no. That's it. It's okay to say no. You can say no to hangouts, you can say no to friends, people, bosses. If you feel like you don't want to do something, or you don't want to take part in anything, or whatever it may be, you can just say no. You don't have to be such a yes man, yes woman, yes person, yes, 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 yes. Like, it's okay to say no if you personally don't want to do something, and the person should understand, and if they don't, that's their problem. Number 13. If you want to do something, then go ahead and do it now. Because if you don't, then you leave room for regret later. And I definitely learned this in 2020 because of everything that happened in the world. And I was really glad I made certain choices prior to, because of how I saw things play out. So if you want to know more about that, I can elaborate later. Number 14, communication. So communicating is very, very important. Communicating how you feel, communicating what you want, communicating what you don't want, communicating details to help others understand where you are. A lot of conflicts just come from miscommunication. So think about how many like problems, conflicts one can avoid if they just properly communicate their feelings. And of course, people need to properly understand, or comprehension is very important, but if you don't say anything, there's nothing to comprehend in the first place. So just communicate how you feel. Lesson number 15 is be comfortable with being uncomfortable. So I actually learned this in high school by my really tough volleyball coach. And at the time, I, I understood it, but I don't think I really understood it until I got into my 20s. And it's very true. So oftentimes we're in our comfort zone. We are scared of trying something, scared of doing something. We fear failure, we fear judgment. And if you put yourself in more uncomfortable positions, then those uncomfortable positions, then you become comfortable with them because you've been exposed to them and now you have experience and it's less intimidating. So if you, let's say, want to be the guitarist, you've loved the guitar and you've always wanted to play guitar, but when you pick up the guitar right now, it's like intimidating to you, like, oh my god, how am I gonna do this? I get callus on my fingers, all that. But once you just start practicing, even if it's 10 minutes a day, then that guitar playing, you might end up playing in like a couple months. And so guitar is no longer something that you're uncomfortable with. You're comfortable with it now because you exposed yourself to it, you dedicated your time, you were consistent, you practice, and now you can play guitar. So guitar you are now comfortable with. And that little analogy works with everything in life. Okay, this is also a really big one for me. Don't take things too personally. So growing up, I feel I would take things personally. So if someone was being rude to me, I would automatically assume, like, what did I do? Why are they being rude to me? I was nice to them, I've only been nice to them. And most of the time, especially if you've done nothing and someone is rude to you, it's more about them. It's more about their insecurities. It's more about them and less about you. But we tend to, as people, as humans, like, I believe psychologically, we tend to assume if someone does something to us, it's automatically about us. And we take it personally when we just like reanalyze ourselves. And that is not a healthy way to exist and operate in this world. Number 17 is to learn to agree to disagree. Not everyone is gonna have your same viewpoint, your same morals, your same opinions, and that's okay. We're all from different walks of life, different backgrounds, families, cultures, just we're all different. And you shouldn't feel the need to spend so much energy and time into persuading others to think like you do, because everyone is entitled to their own opinion. As long as we just respect different opinions, that is what's important. It's not so much about us all being in agreement. It's more about, okay, you believe this way, this is what you think, that's okay. I don't think that way, and that's okay as well. Number 18 is spend some alone time with yourself. You know, you don't need to constantly be around people, because when you are alone with yourself, you tend to learn a lot about yourself and what you're capable of. Spending that alone time with yourself really allows you to kind of figure out who you are away from others, because we are the sum of the 5 people that we spend the most time with, and sometimes it's important to kind of break away from that and figure out who you are inside. 19, travel. Travel as much as you can. I am a big advocate of traveling. I believe travel really teaches you a lot. Not only does it expose you to different cultures, geographies, way of life. It opens your eyes. It allows you to experience something other than what you've always known. And I think that is very important for personal development and growth. Number 20, don't feel the need to fit in all the time and just embrace your individuality. And that can mean with everything. You don't have to just have the same like TikTok look, the same TikTok haircut. You can basically be however you want to be, even if it's mainstream or not. Number 21 is never stop learning. So I feel like we have this notion that unless we're in a typical four-year university, college, high school kind of school system, that once we're out of it, there's no learning, it's just working. But with the age that we're in right now, with the internet and everything, we have access to information literally at our fingertips. We can always learn, and it can be in anything that you want. It can be in ceramics, it can be in sports therapy, it can be herbalism. Whatever interests you, you should always be hungry for more knowledge, because the more you know, that much more of a person you are. So you can always, there's never a cap or limit to knowledge. You can always know more. So I think it's always important to stay a student even when you're no longer a student. And that will allow for a lot of growth. I did a lot of that actually after college. Whatever topic I was into, I would research. I would research a bunch of things. 22. Knowing what you don't like is just as important as knowing what you do like. And this is a big one for me, because after college I felt like I need to know exactly what I want, know exactly what I want to do, and like to the T. And I think that's just how like society has shaped us to be. But sometimes knowing what you don't want is actually really great. And in order to know what you don't like, when you know what you don't like, it brings you closer to what you do like, if that makes sense. So always try out new things. Okay, where are my perfectionists? So number 23 is perfection does not exist, so stop searching for it and expecting it. So nothing and no one is perfect, and that's just how it is. So stop being a perfectionist. And I feel like I'm a perfectionist. I think I'm a perfectionist in certain categories more so than others. And it's just not healthy, because there's a point where it stops you from doing something, because if it's not perfect, you don't want it. So let's say there's an art contest and you drew something and it's due in 2 hours. You might be like, oh, I can't draw a perfect painting, so I'm not going to submit my artwork. And that's a problem, because what if you were to have submitted your artwork and you won with the painting that you thought wasn't good enough? So it holds you back. See, seeking and expecting perfection holds you back. So once you just accept the fact that nothing and no one is perfect, you feel more at peace, because all you can do is try your best and be your best. And as long as you do that, that is great. All right, lesson number 24 is choose your hard. So this is something that I've kind of been more into recently, and it's kind of become my, I guess, like quote, I don't know, but it's choose your hard, because everything in life is hard. So for example, being single is hard, but so is being in a relationship. So just choose your hard. So everything takes work, everything requires effort, consistency, patience, everything. So it's just a matter of what you want to choose. So pick what you want to do and just focus on that and choose your hard, because everything is hard. Everything takes steps, effort, action, patience, consistency, everything. So it's just more about viewing things in that kind of a light as opposed to, oh, the grass is greener on the other side, because it's not. Everything has the pros and cons, but it's just more about what you want, or if the pros in something outweigh the cons for you. Right, and the last one, last but not least, number 25 for age 25 is practice gratitude. This one is something that I often, I wouldn't say overlook, but it's something that in society nowadays, except like recently, it's become more of a thing where it's like gratitude journals and practicing gratitude, but it's something that you need to constantly think about, because we're always thinking about what we want or what we don't have. So if we want something, that means we don't have it per se. But there's also a lot of things that we do have, and you can always find something to be grateful for. That is it. That is 25 things I've learned by age 25. I hope you enjoyed today's video. I wanted to share some of these major life lessons I've learned by age 25. And even if this just helps one person, I would be very happy. So please comment down below if you resonated with any of the things I mentioned. And always remember, there's always something to be grateful for, and just keep that in mind while you strive for your goals and everything like that. So I hope you have an amazing rest of your day, night, morning, whatever it may be, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.